Good afternoon and welcome to Essential Ingredients. I'm Justine Reichman, your host, and today I'm very pleased to welcome Felicity Chen, who is the founder and CEO of Potly, who makes foods that help you feel better. Welcome, Felicity.
Thank you so much, Justine, for having me.
It's great to have you here and have a little one-on-one time to learn more about you and about Potly and what you're working on. It's a really innovative space and there's so much changing minute by minute, day by day, and no time better than now to learn a little bit about you and what you're doing. So I'd love for you first to just introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about what you're doing and what Potly is.
Yeah, thank you so much for the platform to share on Next Gen Chef. My name is Felicity. I'm the founder and CEO of Potly, and Potly, like Justine, so amazingly welcomed us onto the channel, is all about foods that help you feel better. And we do that through cannabinoids, so weed. And basically what we've done in the edibles category is created foods that you recognize in your pantry, the staples: honey, olive oil, chili oil, sriracha, apple cider vinegar, all the basics, right? You can basically use all of those ingredients to make anything that you want in your kitchen. And we effectively make it such that you can make your own edible and really take control of your dose. Everybody has that awful story about eating a brownie years and years ago when there was no such thing as dosing and no such thing as accuracy and no such thing as testing and potency and all these things. You just ate the edible and hope to God you didn't die, right?
So wait, Felicity, before we go on, I just want to be completely transparent with people because we're using these words edible and everything's edible in the world. But I just want to be clear. What are you referring to when you say edible? Just for transparency's sake here.
Yeah, edibles specifically as in cannabis-infused or hemp-infused goods. Okay. And we are using edibles as a way for us as consumers to hack our own health. And so let us dial back for what does that mean? How do you mean by, foods that help you feel better? So
thank you, Felicity, for that, because I like to make sure that everyone's on the same page when we're talking here. And some folks that are watching us and listening to us may be familiar with your brand, Potly, and others may not be. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands what the topic is that we're talking about. So
yeah, totally.
Let's get back to Potly and tell them a little bit about what you're doing here.
Totally. And so the story all begins with the honey. It's the first product we ever launched, our dream honey, which is a honey that helps you fall asleep, stay asleep, and then feel rejuvenated the next day without feeling the groggy aftertones of taking, for example, melatonin, which is also a plant-based, off-the-shelf sleep aid. It is a product that really helps you take control of your life and to help you feel like the superhuman in you. And the honey starts with me trying to help my mother, who's an Asian immigrant, super conservative. There was no way that she was ever going to smoke weed with me. But I had moved, and the idea all sparked when I had moved home from college from the East Coast, back to the Bay Area where my parents and I grew up, or I was able to grow up. My parents immigrated from Asia to the States. And when I moved home from college, I noticed that my dad had started a completely new hobby, which is beekeeping. And he did this because my mother is an asthma patient. Hyperlocal honey has the antihistamines. It's really good for your allergies. Her allergies is what's setting off her asthma. And you can already see, I grew up in a household where plant-based medicine, holistic wellness, functional foods is really important and integral to health. We're not using, this medicine and that medicine. We were using food as medicine to help us feel better and feel more balanced. And
functional food is huge right now too.
Totally,
that's what you're talking about. And I think that this is really integral to the bigger functional food topic.
Exactly.
Just one small aspect of it. And I think it really should be clearly stated that this is, in my opinion, part of functional food.
Absolutely. So that's what we're doing. And I want to think about Potly. So the story it goes my mother would never smoke weed with me. I put some weed into her honey, and she used to have these awful coughing fits. They started to be more controlled. There's no way we're going to solve the fact that she has asthma. It's an autoimmune disease. She's going to have it forever for the rest of her life, but at least it's controlled, right? And it's also powered not just by the cannabis, the CBD, the CBN, but also by the natural ingredients itself, the honey. The honey is so, transparently sourced. It's literally, every single jar that our consumers try today, it's all still harvested from our backyard. And yes, we had grown from one little small beehive to now 30, 40, 50 hives. I've kind of lost count, but there's a big range, and we're very, very grateful to be sourcing honey from our very own backyard. And this is hyper local honey that has the pollens of the local forestry and whatnot that really helps you boost yourself, your immune system, what you need for your body. And so functional foods is what we kind of think about our national brand, potleyshop.com, where you can access these remedies that are food driven. And that's really the ethos of Potley.
Wow. So I want to go back to a few things. So you launched with honey, and I guess I'm putting the dots together. You guys had the beekeeping, right? Your dad had the beekeeping. And was that what the impetus was for the honey, for you to start Potley with honey to help your mom?
Exactly. I always like, well, we have the resources. It's right there. Why don't we try it? And by golly, especially during COVID, it really took off. People, especially in the beginning of COVID, everybody was stuck at home, and people were thinking of ways to do something different. With what you had in your kitchen, people were going nuts with, making this bread and that banana and this, that, and the third. So yeah, we're very grateful for having our consumers.
Yeah. So you had the honey was working. You'd seen it with your mom. You're now out. Were you going direct to consumer?
Yes. So we have two sides of the business. Of course, you can get our cannabis side only in California, and you can access that on getpotley.com and find, your most local and closest retailer to deliver to you. Of course, we have our potleyshop.com, which allows us to ship nationwide. These ingredients are CBD based only and wellness based. And so how we imagine our wellness side of our business, which is our direct to consumer line, growing in the future is, we saw the wave of adaptogens and that, came, and it's still here and it's going strong. We saw CBD as a way to have people access cannabis, but in a format that is, non-psychoactive and only for, wellness and balance driving effects. And then I think the third wave is something that is actually very rooted in the whole reason why I started Potley, which is traditional Chinese medicine. And traditional Chinese medicine as a way, as for example, an adaptogen to be infused into foods in ways that we can hack our health, because this is not something new. It has been here for years and years and years. And in fact, my father grew up my father practiced and grew up in a household that trained him to be a,
Traditional Chinese medical doctor?
yeah, I don't know. I don't want to call them doctors because it just feels,
But, literally when you study, I don't know if he studied TCM or he went
yeah,
to school for, did he go here in the United States or
in China.
in China? So that education is tremendous. They go for so many years, and it is really robust, and it is time consuming, and the study is just overwhelming.
Correct.
And I mean, there is nothing that I can say that, I mean, it is so intense, the study. And I say that because I went to school for Chinese medicine and I did not finish. I went for a few years. I did not want to be a Chinese medical doctor. I went out of curiosity for education to learn, and because I was really curious in the study of Chinese medicine. And
Yes.
so I have a lot of respect for what those practitioners go through. and
Yeah.
understanding it, and it is not easy.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
nothing about it that is easy.
Yeah.
So,
There's so many different herbs.
and wait, hold on. That's a whole nother ball of wax. You have Chinese medicine, then you have herbs, then you have points.
Yeah.
So the herbs education is like a whole nother track.
Yeah.
So we could go off on this for that's like a whole nother thing. So the minute you said that, I had a whole level of, respect, and that I was like ready to just go and ask you, but tell me more. So your father's input on this, given his background, must be, I'm sure he's got so much to share. And I'd love to know just a little bit more about how that impacted what you're building.
Absolutely, in all sorts of ways, right? For him, and especially for some, a family, and as you can imagine, Asian families are super conservative, and so for the reason why I chose edibles as a format, and versus there's a bunch of different companies that I could have spun up. I could have made flour, pre-rolls, this and that, which actually, in terms of the market, it's a way larger market size. Why it was so ingrained in foods and using foods as a way to hack health is because, cannabis originated in Asia millions, not millions, okay, thousands of years
That
ago.
might be a little bit ambitious.
Yeah, that's aggressive. During, the basically, there's 5,000 years of Chinese history. There's, and because of the Opium War, right, we are now starting to see, well, not starting to see, the whole generation of my parents are just like, no drugs, like drugs are bad. This is like, you try weed, you're basically like disowned from the family. And so I had to do it in a format in which he understood.
Mhm.
And that is how I converted him, because I was showing him how, look, there are people writing in to say, your honey has saved my life. There's, I haven't been able to sleep in months, and this is the first thing that helped me. This great uncle who's very, very, conservative, Ecuadorian, would never have tried cannabis, anything, tried your honey because he was just having trouble with sleep and was at a point where he could try anything. Someone's grandmother didn't sleep for, went through major surgery and couldn't sleep for weeks, and then finally fell asleep because she had some of our honey. Like, these are the stories that we're very grateful to hear, and that, we've supported people through very traumatic times during COVID, and we're, just a function of helping them feel better. And so that's what we mean is that, everything that my father has taught me in terms of, let's go plant-based, let's eat healthier, but let's start with the foods that we put into our body, and just starting with, like, a lot of your health really starts with how well you sleep, like approaching these fundamental issues, simple ones, right? Helped us get through and get to this point in our.
Wow, I want to meet your dad.
Yeah, dad's hilarious. He's definitely, we kind of share him on our Instagram. He's showing us how to do qigong and all these different things. And he, we have tea time with him. That's kind of my ritual with my dad, and he's a hilarious one.
Wow, I like that. That's awesome. Well, we'll have to have a shared tea time maybe.
Yeah, we'd love that.
With Next Gen Chef, Essential Ingredients, and Potly, hosted by and powered by Potly. No, powered by Next Gen Chef and hosted by Potly.
There we go.
There we go. That's what it only took me a minute to figure it out.
Well, it's happening one way or the other.
Happening, and then we'll throw in a few other of our favorite things.
Yeah, friends
that time of year. A few of our favorite things.
Oh my goodness, it just keeps coming. Let's keep ripping.
Essential Ingredients is powered by Next Gen Chef. Next Gen Chef is a movement that supports food and beverage entrepreneurs around the world by fostering a sense of community and providing its members access to mentors and a wealth of resources and guidance. Next Gen Chef feeds members with the knowledge they need to build better for you food and beverage businesses, so the world can have greater access to healthier food, comprehensive food education, and increased affordability. If you like what you hear on this podcast, continue the conversation or ask new questions on the Next Gen Chef app. available in the Apple Store and Google Play. Follow NextGen Chef on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook at NextGen Chef. Join NextGen Chef and let's change the future of the food industry together.
I'm with you. I mean, I find that there's a lot of herbs out there that I find that help me in many ways that traditional medicine doesn't help. So I love the fact that you've expanded your product line. I'm excited to hear just maybe if you could share a few more of the other products. And then the other thing that I'd love to just touch on, because I know that a lot of people are curious about this, as we have a lot of entrepreneurs that watch and listen to these podcasts, is how do you grow your CBD online? Everybody, wants to sell their product, and it's challenging, whether it's through their own store, etc. The regulations. If you could just share a little bit about that. It's a question I get all the time from people.
Yeah, totally. So the ad space in Facebook and Instagram, not very kind to CBD producers and online. And so, especially when you're a young brand and you want to, really control your margins, D2C is the way. And, fortunately for us, there are a lot of different ways to grow your audience outside of just Facebook and Instagram ads, even though that is very, very helpful. And what you can do that is free is collect people's emails. Wherever you go, be collecting people's emails and work with micro influencers. And these are two ways that you can really grow your brand organically, and through that, build this funnel through your website and convert these customers. Every single time you send out an email, you're converting a couple $1,000s worth of inventory in that go. So that's super important to build, especially from the beginning, before you even have a product. Build your community, build these day oneers, build these, people that will ferociously buy your honey. And as soon as they're out, they're like, can you overnight some to us? Like, those are the types of customers that you want to keep looking for and finding your niche, right? Is it mothers? Is it people like us? Like for me, I'm looking for people that are makers, people that like to cook in the kitchen, people that enjoy, consuming in different ways, right? And how do you find those people? And so looking for influencers that follow along and fall under that category has been important to us as well. And honestly, in general, it's like, everybody needs to feel better, but there is a subset of category of influencers that are specifically talking about very openly about their mental health, very openly about, their issues and how they overcame these things where when they felt like, especially, they were really alone. And one of those things that I think has been really powerful with the internet is that nobody's alone in their experience. And how do you create a safe space for people to share their experiences with your consumer, with your products, and kind of feel more resilient having other people that have experienced the same thing.
That's great. I want to try it with our latkes on Saturday.
Oh, yum. I know, the olive oil. So yes, the other part of your question was, what are our other products? So we got some olive oil. I know it's a important holiday to celebrate oil. And so we have just restocked our partnership with Astor Farms, as well as our CBD olive oil. So that's online at potleyshop.com. And yeah, Potley has transitioned from just being a pantry driven company to being a snackable company. And we talked about a couple of different things that, we've touched on. But one of the things that we have kind of thought about a lot is, as people are, yes, there's Omicron and this, COVID, that COVID, we
Right.
are now kind of moving towards a more open world in which we're able to go back out again. And that means, we're able to share things with friends and able to get things and buy things that are on the go. And so Potley has launched shrimp chips during the middle of the pandemic this year. our first foray into ready to eat, ready to serve. And in the future, we'll continue to innovate on shrimp chips. I think our pantry collection is set. We've really kind of created all the essential ingredients that are needed in the pantry to create anything you want. We're now starting to innovate on different TCM related, cannabis related snackables that are easily shared with anybody that, comes that you care for and that you want to feel better.
Well, we love that you focus on the essential ingredients, because that's what we're focused on, essential ingredients.
Yes. For the next chef. Next
gen chef, exactly. So if anybody that's listening or watching this podcast would want to find your pantry, how would they find it?
Potlyshop.com. We are sold, all of our latest drops will be available there. You can also find us on Amazon for our CBD products. And then finally, if you are in California, you can find us at getpotly.com, and that will take you to our stockists and also delivery partners for the state.
And if anyone wanted to reach out to you and connect, how would they find you? What's the best way to reach out?
Just write us at, we're a really small but mighty team of women on Instagram. So that's at Get Potly. And then my personal Instagram is at Fells_factory. And you can reach out there and I would be happy to connect with you.
Felicity, thank you so much for joining me today on Essential Ingredients. I want to thank our guests for tuning in. We're here every week. So every week we've got a new wonderful founder. This week it was Felicity with Potly. Thank you again so much. And if you haven't downloaded Essential Ingredients, you can find us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and all the regular channels. Essential Ingredients with Justine, powered by Next Gen Chef. So thanks so much. Thanks so much, Felicity, again.
Thanks, Justine.
To find out more about this episode of Essential Ingredients and access show notes, check out Next Gen Chef and choose podcast in the menu bar. If you like this episode, head to iTunes or Next Gen Chef's YouTube channel to subscribe. Learn more about Next Gen Chef, the platform that powers this podcast, by checking out our website or visit us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Next Gen Chef. You can also check out my Instagram at Justine_Reichman. If you have thoughts about this episode or future episode ideas, leave us a comment at Next Gen Chef's YouTube channel or drop an email at team@nextgenchef.com. Thanks for joining us.